Hello, sir.
Okay, hi Jacob, Sarah Marie, nice. Hi Sarah, Matthew, Vella. Yeah, switch on your cameras, please. I'm not having my lunch to give this presentation, so but it is something which I look forward. Georgianne, Borch.
My camera is not working.
It's not working. Okay, that's a pity. Georgianne, stay with us. Oh, okay. This is a challenge that we have with online learning, but it's important to keep the communication going. I mean, without a face, it's very hard to connect. Okay, so let me get to the gist immediately. I am George Vital Zammit. I am a senior lecturer at the Department of Public Policy. I have been asked by ASCS and by my head of department to give this presentation. I am sure that, which presentation is this, Mireille? I mean, have they had the others before me?
Yesterday we had the banking and finance, accounts and economics one, but today you're the first one to give your presentation.
I'm the first one. Okay, okay. So if this is after lunch, this is the sleepy time. So I'll try to make this as interesting as possible. I won't take the full hour. Do please take this opportunity to listen to the message, then ask the questions. I was there myself. I was a BCom student myself. That's 25 years ago. So you were still not around. Probably not even thought of yet, and it's a long time ago, but I can assure you, you are in a student-friendly faculty. We do our best to keep a good communication with our students, especially us at the Department of Public Policy. Now, we have an advantage when compared to the other departments. We are the smallest department in terms of student numbers, which means that the likelihood that we get to know you by name, at least, is something which I think should not be taken for granted. Okay, and we are a very student-centered department, like all the other departments, by the way. But the fact that we have to reach out to usually small classes, that helps. So you've done your first year, and now you are thinking of perhaps choosing your major. And unless you have decided already, I want to pass on this message that if you choose public policy as your major area of study, you are opening the doors to possibly a very exciting career. Not to mention the fact that I think public policy as a subject stands out in terms of what you can do in class. It gives you the opportunity to debate, to discuss, to grow, like perhaps only a few other subjects can do, because we really hone the message that your debating skills, not only your theoretical skills, your ability to memorize, are very important too. Now, I have a small presentation, and I think I have been given rights. I won't annoy you with a lot of words, okay? So do please pay attention, and whatever strikes you, okay, make a note and feel free either to raise a hand whilst I am giving the presentation or ask me afterwards, okay? So I'll get my screen. Okay. Okay. So here we are. Okay. It seems we have a few other students to admit, Mireille. That's up to you. Okay. So I am not seeing the students. Okay. So are you following? Is that okay? Can you see the presentation, please?
Yes, we can.
Yes, that's great. Okay, so I need to okay. So public policy, okay, is something which quite a few would come to ask, listen, but what are you referring to? Now, I'm sure that you know and appreciate what a policy is. I'm sure that some of you have already had, for example, some work experience. You know, you might have worked part-time, you might have had the opportunity to work somewhere for some pocket money. I did that. I did that when I was 17 and 18. I filled shelves, I cleaned toilets, okay? I cleaned the floor. So I did that to earn some extra money. Hopefully you don't have to do that yourself. Hopefully you can have more productive part-time jobs. But every company, every place has its own policies. And a company policy would be a direction, an instruction to do something in particular. You know, it could be, for example, a dress code. It could be the time of work that you have. It could be, you know, your conduct at the place of work, and that is a company, a specific policy. It relates, it applies only to that place of work. Okay, I'm not mentioning names. Think about any company, and it might have its own internal policies, okay, which you have to follow. A public policy, and this is what we do, is about the policies of the land, of the country, okay? It's about our laws, it's about our regulations, it's about public decisions, our public leaders, about a public issue. So if you follow a bit what's happening around you, you will hear, you know, Parliament debating laws. You will have seen, for example, a few weeks ago, a local NGO landing on Comino to manifest against the occupation of the land with deck chairs and umbrellas, etc., etc. And that is something which, for us, is of a particular interest. We study that. We look at that. Why has that happened? Okay, why has an NGO organized itself to do something in the public arena? And you start asking these questions. Now that is public policy, because I have just referred, an NGO would not be entitled in any way to make a protest on private land. Okay, the private land is private land. But when public land is taken up, that is a concern for us all, because that belongs to all of us. And these are all issues that we are interested in. Who are the public leaders? Why do they behave the way they do? What do political parties do? What are NGOs? And these are all questions which we ask, and which we ask you to debate in class. I need to tell you that students who read for public policy are today occupying high positions. Okay, I mean, former Prime Minister Joseph Muscat was doing this, BCom public policy, some years ago. Our current police commissioner has studied public policy, even at his master's level. And we have quite a few people that have been very successful also outside Malta. Okay, so public policy is about the public domain, about the laws, about the regulations, and about some other things which I will soon refer to. So why do you therefore decide to study public policy for the next 2 years? So one, we think that public policy is an ideal major area of study that you can pair with any other major area of study. We do get a lot of students who, for example, pair economics with public policy. It's a very good combination. It's a very, very, very good combination. Accountancy and public policy has worked through. Marketing, management, and public policy is also a very good combination. Now you can also take insurance and public policy. And believe me, after these 2 years and after experiencing public policy, you will sit for an interview, and your perspective when you are in front of an interviewing panel will definitely strike a chord with the people who are listening to you, because you will get a very wide perspective. You will have a global perspective, not only a national perspective. So as the slide is showing here, the economy, education, healthcare, okay, is healthcare for those perhaps who like economics. There's an economic question related to healthcare. Is it sustainable? Should we continue providing free healthcare? And you will hear these issues touched upon by our politicians. If you have followed perhaps the national elections, which we had a few months ago, all these topics, you would have found them on the electoral programs of our political parties. Virtually housing, the environment, energy. We talk about diversification of energy supply, the jobs market. Every aspect of daily life is affected by public policy decisions. You are affected by public policy, whether you study it or not, okay? So you study public policy to be able to discern issues of the utmost importance, whether they are at the local level. It could be, for example, what our local councils do. At the national level, what government does, what opposition does, or what they don't do. Their interaction with civil society. At the supranational level, you will be interested, for example, in what's going on in the Ukraine at the moment, what the EU is doing. Why? And it doesn't mean that we have all the answers, but we help you to ask more questions, okay? So it's about public affairs, and public affairs are not simply the concern of politicians or government employees. You don't study public policy because you are only interested in perhaps having a career in government. That is something which I will get back to you later. As a matter of fact, as I will tell you later, a number of our students did find employment in the private sector. I do have here, I see the name Tonino, okay? Yes?
I'm not sure. The slide is supposed to be turning because I'm stuck in the...
Okay, so you are not seeing, you are not seeing the slides changing?
No.
All of you? Okay. So thank you for prompting me. Now I'm stopping a bit this. It's a good thing you told me now, Tonino, not at the end. Okay, so give me a second, please, to check a bit my display settings, please. Okay. Mela, if I do it like this, is it, do you see something like this now?
So I'm seeing the public affairs.
That's okay. Okay, so I'll probably avoid this slideshow and go from here, okay?
Thank you.
Okay. So what is public policy, okay? And this is something, I was here, okay? I was here and I was explaining, therefore, what public policy is about. And what public affairs, okay? And we see this in class sometimes. So we are interested in business, we are interested in our careers, but then we don't know how public affairs are conducted. We don't know how decisions are taken. And public policy can help us a lot in doing this, okay? As a matter of fact, for example, in our MBA, we do this, but in your first year, you should have had a glimpse of how public policy and business could be tied up together. Okay, so what does a public policy degree give to our students? Our students develop an understanding of how policy is formulated, public affairs are managed. So ultimately, if let's say we are looking at the most important policy document every year is the budget document. The budget document in November. When the budget is announced, that is the most important policy document. And if you look at that policy, you will find funds that are being allocated to primary education, secondary, to people who are doing their masters, scholarships. Then you will find a section on health, and you will find perhaps new services that are being provided. So there is a process behind that. Okay, there is a process behind that, and we refer to that as the policy cycle. I'm sure that you have already come across that in your first year when you did the policy cycle, the problem definition, okay, the policy agenda, formulation, implementation, and evaluation. Okay, you will go through that again in the coming 2 years. But most of all, we really believe that your skills are very important. You are already competing with your friends for work, okay? And it is very important that in the next 2 years, apart from the new knowledge that you will gain, you will also acquire skills. And we will really, at our department, we will stress a lot about these skills. Why? Because we really believe that in today's world, it's very important that you demonstrate also very good human skills. Okay, so for example, communication skills, your ability, for example, to communicate your ideas. That's very important. In class, we will give you the space and the time and the opportunity to do that. And we think that that will really help you when you are interviewing. It's a competitive world. This is a small country, okay? And you will be competing for jobs with your friends. So we believe that you need to have a leading edge here. And we give you an opportunity to do that. So it's very important that you are able now to think, to question, to think about complex problems, okay? There's no simple way of looking at things. There is always 2-3 sides of every argument, okay? You will be able, for example, to have a brief which will contain ideas, a way forward, and you will be able to defend it in the sense that you look at it and you are able to argue in favor for it. Or for that reason, you can perhaps provide the counter argument, okay? But also being able to research, okay, policy. After all, we really wish that in a few years' time, you come back to us and you tell us, listen, we are now occupying these roles and we think that public policy has helped us, okay? We really wish and we really want that to happen, okay? After all, we want you to become leaders in your community. So let's cut the chase. What are we talking about? So in case you have not looked at the program of studies is that document where you have the list of study units that you will study in the next 2 years. So I am reproducing it for you so that you know, well, I did this before I studied I read for my degrees. I always asked for a brochure, a program. Let me know how I will be spending my time in the next few years, okay? Whether it's a bachelor's, in the future it will be a master's program, or perhaps even more, okay? So, in your year 2. So, next year, semester 1, you will be having those 3 study units. The first one is a very interesting subject area, which takes you beyond our shores. We really believe this as well, okay? It's not only about Malta. Malta offers and provides very good examples, but we need to look beyond. We live in an interconnected world. I am sure that you have come across the term globalization many times, but this is globalization. This is the effect of globalization. If you are following what is happening at the moment in Ukraine and why we might be going through a phase where the price of oil is going up, okay, the price of wheat is going up. That's because we live in an interconnected world. What happens in one place has an effect in another. With PPL 2225, you will look at leadership. We are fascinated by leadership. We think that leadership is a very, very good subject, not only to study, but something that you should aspire to. Do aspire to become leaders. Leaders, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to become prime ministers. Well, if you can do that, you do well, or a president of the republic. Well, why not, after all? But leaders in your communities, leaders in the place of work where you will be, leaders in your organization, leaders perhaps of civil society. Why not? Okay? And we look at leadership. We also look at the public policy environment. Now, with PPL 2226, environment doesn't mean environment as in the green side of the environment, or the sea, or the air. Those are important. With environment, we'll look at the political environment, the external environment of policymaking. Then in second semester, we focus on ideas, on society, and we start talking to you about research. Why? As you know, there is no longer an honors year. That used to be the fourth year. And since a few years, the honors year has been removed. But we want to tell you about the skills to research. Why? First of all, it will help you in your long essays. It will help you in planning, in designing your research. But some of you might be thinking about doing a master's. And we start telling you there about how to plan a dissertation, okay? And we look then at also people development in the public sector. So this is about HR, this is about human development within an organization, but we specify the public sector. The public sector is the sector of employment that employs around 45,000 people, okay? In case you don't know, the public sector is the largest employer in Malta, okay? Which is, I think, if you have the opportunity to do so, you have a number of avenues, you have a number of options that you can take, and it can be a very rewarding career, okay? Year three. In year three, you have a work placement, which takes place for the whole year. So in year three, we always thought, because we try to practice what we preach, okay, that skills are very important. And skills are not only about studying or passing your exams. Those are important, but they're not the only important thing. Skills are about human skills, about you being able to interacting with others, you being able to receive instructions, carry them out. And whilst you are studying full-time, you can't do perhaps that in a fully fledged manner. So what do? We give you this opportunity to work in an organization. It can be private, industry, private enterprise, or public, okay, with a government institution. We ask you to give us options. We ask you to give a preference. You might tell us, listen, you know, I wish to have an experience with, I don't know, Farsons, okay? And we try to help you with doing that. So it's not only about private enterprise. We really believe that you having that small, I'll tell you how that works in a moment, okay? But that, even though it's a small amount of time in a week, it helps you and starts preparing you for the time when you are employed full-time. And there's a very important thing as well. You might need that employer perhaps as a reference letter, or that employer might like you. We had this, it has happened almost every year. We have employers that like our students in their placement. They think they offer potential and they offer you a full-time job, okay? So first you have the opportunity to work, but to work not against remuneration, by the way, okay? But to show your potential. Then you have governing microstates, microstate like Malta, okay? What are the governing practices? What are the various dimensions of governing a small country like Malta? We also look at a deeper look at policy analysis, okay? So this is a deep look into a policy dimension. Then we have two electives as well. Subnational government, okay, which looks at local government, okay? Some of you might be interested in looking at how local councils work. We have had students who served in local councils, by the way, okay? And the other dimension is supranational. So here we are looking at the different layers. One is not national government, local government. The other one is supranational. So here we look at the European Union. We look at the World Trade Organization, the United Nations. Supranational governance. That's beyond the nation state. That is an elective which happens in your third year. In the second semester, okay, you have two compulsory units, decision making, a very interesting subject, and then PPL 3106, which you do with me if I'm still around, and we do this study unit, which is a very interesting, not because I give it, but I think it is. Always students have told me how interesting this is. It's a seminar-based approach study unit, PPL 3106. There are no exams. Every week we look at the topic. It's students who discuss and debate. We have always a very, very interesting study unit. This year we had the election, so we had some more to talk about. That happens in the second semester, and up to now it happens with me. Second semester also you have two electives, public management, which I do as well, and regulatory policy and institutions, which I do as well. So in the third semester, there's a very big likelihood that you get me in your class. With regulatory policy, we look at regulatory authorities. Okay, regulation is a very important, like MFSA, for example, the Planning Authority, ERA. These are the Lands Authority. These are the authorities in our country. What do they do? And sometimes what they don't as well. Okay, so let me refer a bit to the work placement, because I refer to this and I really believe that this is a very important study unit. Okay, you gain practical experience. For some of you, this might be the first time they work. Okay, because you might not have done a part-time before, and it could be the first time that they work. And you have this opportunity to learn about perhaps profession that you have always, as I told you, we offer you to give us the preference where you wish to do your work placement, and we try our best to accommodate you. It not always works, and in that case, we assign you another place, okay? It could be the case that you might wish to base your dissertation in the future, or a long essay on that place of work. And this helps you, and again, I stress the importance of skills, report writing, okay, perhaps making a presentation, listening, interacting with others, okay? This helps you acquire these skills, okay? Here they are. So when we talk about skills, I know they are a bit in a small font here. It's about speaking, it's about writing, it's about listening. Don't underestimate the importance of listening, okay? Some of you here, or perhaps one of you, or perhaps no one, but we did get students who went on to become journalists, okay? One of the professions I have a lot of respect for. And journalists, if there is a key skill for any journalist, is the ability to listen. Listen, take notes, and report back, okay? Time management, problem solving, decision making, okay? And as I said, communication. These are a few questions and answers here. A Q&A on how the placement works. Okay, how long it is. It happens in your third year. It happens for the full year. Okay, when do I work? Well, that's something which you can plan with the organization you are placed in. Okay, so we don't really have any specific preferences there. Then at the end, you prepare a report, okay, on what you've learned in that experience. Do you get paid? No. You have credits for it, okay? It is an elective. Can this lead me to somewhere? Okay. No, wait, I'm sorry. I made a mistake here. I'm sorry, I made a mistake. No, this is a compulsory study unit. I apologize for that. I was reading something that needs to be updated. So the work placement is compulsory. Here are a few organizations that have had our students, okay? It can be also an NGO, like Inspire, for example. It can be an NGO. It can be a government organization. It can be a foundation. It can be a public sector organization. So if you have any contacts and you might wish to tell us about them, we will do our best. There are no promises there, but we will do our best to accommodate you. What happens when you graduate with public policy and any other major area? You have a myriad, a big number of opportunities. Here are, we use the logos here, okay? As you can see, there's diplomacy here, there's the American Embassy, the Commission, media, private organizations, the Big Four, okay? So, you can go on to develop perhaps an expertise in public sector accounting, for example. Okay, more employers here. Okay, you have the logo there. This is in no way comprehensive. Okay, it's just a list of, again, some more. Here, yes, even political parties. Yes, we have had candidates who go into politics. We encourage that. We like to see that. We like to see you active. If, by the way, politics is something which you like to follow, not necessarily get into, but discuss, and public policy is definitely the subject, the major area to choose. Okay, these are various roles of public policy graduates. Okay, and it's in no way that is comprehensive. You have a number of possible areas that you can go to. The last 2 years we couldn't make it because of the pandemic, but previously we used to organize also a Brussels trip, okay, which students usually pay for. We try to get subsidized amounts. We do our best to make it on the least costly as possible, but we organize this Brussels trip where we go around the EU institutions. We go to the Parliament, to the Council, to the Commission, and we give you an orientation of the EU in Brussels. Okay, the Brussels trip has been a very popular thing with the department. Here is, for example, a visit a few years ago. There was Commissioner Tonio Borch at the time. Okay, we try to meet with our Maltese representatives abroad. The current president of the European Parliament is, as you know, Dr. Roberta Metsola, a Maltese. So we try to do that. The past 2 years we couldn't, but it is usually something which our students like. So there might be some exemptions from the lectures on 3-4 days. It is something which you will definitely learn from. Okay, on a final note, okay, as former President Lincoln said, you know, the best way to predict the future is to create it. You are now in an opportunity, we had an opportunity to be able to choose. So I give you the floor if you want to ask any questions. I wish you all the luck. And please feel free, any comments, any questions you might have about public policy as a major area of study. Any questions? No one? Okay, so if you'd like to write to me or write to any of my colleagues of the department, if we can help you with making the decision, I suggest that you do your utmost to make an informed decision. Okay, no one knows the future. See where you wish to go to in life, see what career you aspire to perhaps to proceed. I think that this major area of study can provide you with a number of opportunities. And I am sure that if you follow public policy, you will not regret it. I take this opportunity to wish you all the luck. Especially, I guess you are still waiting for your results, right? Of your first year. So I hope you did well. After you get them, take a break. Okay, try to take a small vacation. Hopefully, COVID does not come in the way again. And I look forward to seeing you in October. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Zamit, and thank you for finding the time to conduct this talk.
My pleasure. Take care. Have a nice afternoon.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
I am to assume that you are very interested in conducting a marketing career, which is what brought you here today. But getting to start with a marketing career requires you to have some skills in marketing. And those skills in marketing rely on three important principles. The first of all is understanding the process of marketing. The second one is understanding the psychology behind marketing. And the third one, understanding what research can be conducted to help you understand what goes on in marketing. And those are exactly the three pillars of marketing. In your second year of studies, you will start to be exposed to different theories and different principles, different concepts of marketing. We start by three important study units. The first one is about marketing research. Marketing research is an important activity that relates to the whole process of marketing. You understand what is going on from a consumer's perspective, from a customer's perspective, but at the same time, you can advise or you can come up with your own marketing strategies. That would be marketing research planning, a MARC-A 2007. And the whole idea behind that study unit is to plan and understand what goes on in a marketing research project. Some people and most industries underestimate the importance of marketing research. I built a career out of marketing research, and I think I'm in a decent situation, in a decent position to tell you what goes in marketing research based on experience. Without marketing research, products cannot be developed, advertising would not be effective, communications would simply fall on deaf ears, and most importantly, companies will never make a profit. That is why we insist on students joining our BCom stream to be completely versed with marketing research. So we start with the planning process. Later on, throughout the 3 semesters that will follow, students will be told on how to conduct marketing research and how to conduct analysis of data. In fact, in the 3rd year of studies, you will meet data and analyze that data statistically using SPSS. For some of you, SPSS, the name SPSS might send shivers down your spine, but I can tell you that there is nothing easier than using SPSS and coming up with an understanding of what the data is trying to say. I see Emily's iPhone where the camera is still switched off. Emily, would you please switch on your camera? Emily. You see, Mireille, this is why we hate blanked cameras, because we know normally people are not there. Just as much as the 3 dots, whoever that might be, is not there.
I understand, and I'm with you.
So the next principle is about the implementation of whatever we find in our studies and whatever we find in our research. And that would be starting with design and advertising. We take the point, we take the viewpoint of a practitioner, somebody who's been in marketing, planning, and executing marketing campaigns. So we come up with concepts and theories of advertising, but at the same time, we also expose our students to what really works in advertising and what not. The same thing would be about consumer behavior, MRK 2051, which might sound very theoretical, but at the same time, it provides you, it presents principles drawn from psychology and sociology to understand how consumers are attracted towards offers and at the same time can consume or rather buy into those offers provided through marketing research. The 3 study units are very much integrated with each other. What comes out from marketing research planning is actually linked to marketing design. What comes out from marketing design is linked to the principles of consumer behavior. So really and truly, the 3 cannot be missed. That's why they are put there as compulsory units. Then you have a choice from electives, from society and shared value, which is about social marketing, which is becoming extremely important these days, to optimizing the customer purchasing experience, to advertising and promotion, and professional selling and sales force management. Now, all 4 study units actually reflect the importance of particular aspects of implementation of marketing strategy. And here I make an emphasis. When it comes to marketing strategy, we do not start with a top-down approach. Rather, we start from a bottom-up approach. So what we're asking our students, what we offer to our students is an understanding of how different aspects of strategy are implemented in practice. So we do not start by coming up with a huge marketing plan and then how are we going to help our sales force achieve targets? And then how are we going to optimize our customer experience in our stores, on our websites? No, we start with those principles and then we join all those principles in the 3rd year when you students actually have to undertake strategy, marketing strategy as a simulation rather than just a theoretical subject. But I'll come to that at a later stage. All 4 study units that I mentioned, marketing society and shared value, managing and optimizing the customer purchasing experience, advertising and promotion, and professional selling and sales force management. You can see that there is some element of commonality. They are related to each other, but they are not each other. They do not repeat each other. By having professional sales force and managing a sales force doesn't mean that you're repeating the aspects of advertising. It doesn't work that way. Let me give you an example. In the pharmaceutical industry, for instance, you would need a professional sales force, a very important aspect of the pharmaceuticals industry. Why? Because pharmaceuticals, especially prescription pharmaceuticals, do not rely on advertising. So advertising becomes practically, I would say, irrelevant. Why? Because it's illegal in most countries. When it comes to over-the-counter products, like vitamins, for instance, or contraceptives, or whatever other products might be, like cufflinks that can be sold over the counter, then you might want advertising. But even then, your advertising needs to be concerted with what's happening with your sales force, or what your sales force can do with prescribers, with pharmacists, with other healthcare professionals. So you could see there is an element of commonality, there is an element of synchronization, but not repetition. The other thing, the other way holds. For instance, catering, for instance, food service, for instance, restaurants. You would still need to rely on advertising to make sure that people become aware of your location, of your product, of your offering. But at the end of the day, what really sells are the people who serve the table, your waiters. Those are your salespeople. Those are the people who can upsell your product, who can suggest the wine, who can suggest the dessert, or who can suggest whatever comes next after the main meal. As you can see, advertising and promotion and Salesforce management actually work hand in hand. And it's pretty much the same thing when it comes to designing a customer experience across any value proposition. So if you have a customer experience design relating to a bus commuter, or perhaps even if it's a retail shop, then in that case, you will have a concerted effort that is synchronous with what you're trying to sell, which is why advertising and promotion, which is why your salespeople have to know what's going on with the design of your customer experience. And needless saying, all this has to be designed in a way that caters for the needs of society, to be socially oriented, not just oriented towards making profits. That would be your first semester. I'm not saying that all these study units would have to be taken, but definitely you would have 3 mandatory study units, and then you would have to choose one of the electives that I mentioned just now. During the second semester, you have more choice. Why? Because you have 2 study units this time that are mandatory and only 1 elective, with other optional study units that you would need to choose. So in the second semester, you start working on digital marketing. Now we're taking marketing to a new front, which is practically what marketing is these days. It's more digital than anything else. In the past, before you were born perhaps, we used to rely on traditional media. We used to rely on traditional channels, newspaper advertising, billboards, television advertising, radio advertising. But these days, we look into something different. We go to digital channels, we go to social media. Why? They're more effective. They can target specific customers, they can target specific consumers, specific segments, so to say, and at the end of the day, return much more on for every euro that you spent than traditional media, than traditional channels. Which is why we insist that digital marketing is one of the fundamental, I would say, study units within your marketing course. The same thing is for product management. You might think that product management these days is almost obsolete, considering that Malta, for instance, is increasingly a service economy rather than a manufacturing economy. But let's face it, retail is still very much a service, but at the same time dependent on products. And so is export. So product management, product development cycles, the product life cycles, product development cycles, innovation, so on and so forth, are actually very important aspects of any marketing mix. Complement study units, we've got 1 elective that you will have to choose from 2. The first one is business to business marketing, a very important segment or a very important aspect of marketing that very often is overlooked, but it is extremely important. Picture this. You've got manufacturers in Malta, you've got retailers in Malta, you've got service providers in Malta who at the end of the day buy services or products from other manufacturers or from other service providers. Now, how do you think these services can actually be sold, can be marketed to an audience of other service providers, of other manufacturers? Needless saying, that depends on business to business marketing. That takes a completely different shape from consumer marketing. Visual literacy is an alternative elective, but it's also very important because it provides students with the concepts and principles of what goes into the imagery that is used in marketing tools today. Picture this, a billboard, and you have a picture Now, we all say that a picture says 1,000 words, but what story does it really tell? What do logos tell about the firm? What do icons tell about the emoticon that you're going to use on your social media? These are all elements, important elements in the graphics that are used to project an image to target audiences. I turn to the third year. The third year is where you tie it all. So you actually start making more sense out of your marketing knowledge. The third year starts with 3 important study units. The first one is marketing and web science. Now, in marketing and web science, you actually tie up all the principles of digital marketing with product marketing, with pricing, with all the other study units that you would have had in the second year. It also ties up with another study unit that is also delivered during the same period, and that would be pricing methods and strategies delivered by our Dr. Miriam Pocock. Pricing is not something that just relies on the costs of providing a service or a product, but it also relies on the other costs that might be hidden in your value chain. It also relies on coming up with a price, with an offering that has an element of, I would say, sacrifice that still makes sense to your target audiences. So one of the most important study units, I would say, also in your marketing stream would be specifically this. And then, of course, making sense out of the data that you would have gathered in marketing research. And that would be statistical data analysis for business, administered by Dr. Vince Marmara and other colleagues from the marketing department, MGT 3022. This is where you start dealing with numbers, and you start dealing with these numbers using SPSS. It's not just about coming up with averages and standard deviations, but it's also about making use of software that helps you be smarter in your data analysis rather than working harder. Accompanying these study units, we've got three other electives from which you were required to choose one. We've got applied research tools for business, which provides you with a comprehensive, I would say, catalog of different methods of research, starting from the darkest of qualitative research methods down to the most positive or the most transparent quantitative methods involved in any project in marketing research. The second one is branding and public relations. We chose to merge these two important areas in marketing simply because they are so much related to each other. There is so much that one builds on the other. Picture this. What is a brand without the organization being as transparent and as close to its audiences as in public relations? It's practically an inexistent brand. And the other way around. What are public relations without any sort of brand? You simply can't build a relationship with your publics without first saying what you stand for. And saying what you stand for is your brand. A brand is a promise of what you can deliver or of what you can offer. That's why public relations and branding work together so much closely and so much hand in hand. But that's not alone, not just. There's a third elective that will help you understand what goes on in putting your offering to a diversity of market segments, and that is marketing channels. Would you put your product exclusively to pharmacies or just in supermarkets? Or would you put a product through specialized stores, or would you just put it online? A very difficult, I would say, a very difficult decision, especially when products are very difficult to reach your customers. But you know you can reach your customers very effectively online. The second semester, this is where you put your hand, you shore up your sleeves and work very practically. The first one is services marketing. Again, a very important aspect of marketing, considering today's servitization of our economy. And practical strategic marketing management, where you will be introduced and expected to work with a marketing strategy simulation. We have a license. We have 2 tutors who are licensed to teach this study unit, employing a simulation that was devised by a business school in Europe, INSEAD. For those of you who don't know, INSEAD is considered as one of the topmost business schools in the world, not only Europe. It's French, and very importantly, there were academics who are acclaimed across the entire globe. This simulation involves real data from the market, and you will have a product or a range of products that you will need to market over a product life cycle. And to add on to the challenge, we would tell you that these products at the very end of their life cycle. So you would need to come up with a new portfolio starting from the very beginning of their product life cycle. And what's important is that you will have to make profits. So really and truly, we are putting you on the test in an organization, but without hurting any people. And of course, without hurting yourself. Accompanying these study units, you have one other elective that you will have to choose from 3. The first one is project management, administered by the team within the management department. And it's about how you start a project and you end the project on time, to cost, and within specifications. The 3 important points on the iron triangle. You miss one of those points and your triangle is off balance. The idea here is to make sure that you not only manage projects on time, but you also manage to deliver projects with an agreed cost and also make that project satisfy the requirements of your clients, be they your employers or perhaps your customers. The second one is international marketing, an elective that today has so much importance. Why? Because Malta depends on international markets. We import from international suppliers, we export to international buyers. Without that level of trade, we're practically nothing. We're isolated. We're in North Korea. And even then, North Korea does depend on international markets just the same. The third one, social media strategy. This is a highly specialized study unit that actually focuses on the use of social media as part of a digital marketing strategy. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, you name it, they're all there. But the important thing is not just how to post, but also how to analyze the effectiveness of what you do on social media. That, my friends, brings me to the end of the entire marketing stream. What I didn't mention is that there is a 1-year-long project that happens throughout the 3rd year. And that is entirely a marketing research project, fully fledged. You come up with an industry-related problem, something that is of commercial sensitivity, and you have to find out how to solve it. Thanks to marketing research, thanks to some questionnaire, thanks to some qualitative interviews or focus group discussions. But it takes the entire year. So you started in the first semester and you completed by the end of the second semester. Now, where does this leave you? You're probably asking. After 2 years of hard labor on campus, studying like hell, what are the prospects after that? Well, some of you might opt to move out to work. There is a huge opportunity out there in the labor market asking for people with a first degree to undertake junior executive roles, especially in marketing, perhaps coordinating marketing efforts or coordinating marketing campaigns, or perhaps even coming up with some creative like designing advertising. But we understand that that would require specialist skills, which is what we offer at a later stage in our master's degrees. Our department has 2 MSc programs, an MSc in Strategic Management and Marketing and an MSc in Strategic Management and Digital Marketing. Both programs endure 1 year and 1 semester. Why? Because we ask our students to start their program, to start their studies in October and finish by November of the following year. That program requires you to undertake 90 credits, 90 ECTSs, 60 of which are taught, and the remaining 30 are research, a dissertation. But more on that when you reach the stage for your master's. The prospects, however, with that master's degree are very open, much bigger than your BCom degree can offer. We understand that most of our students finish in jobs that pay at least 23,000 euros. The maximum, I can't tell you, but I've heard stories where our graduates earn in excess of 45,000. Where? It depends. Our students have found jobs with the private sector and the public sector, whether it's governmental organizations or non-governmental organizations or non-profit organizations. But most importantly is the fact that most of our students actually finish in the private sector. Some of them have finished in the iGaming sector, and I think that is where the money is. Why? Because we teach our students not only to be analytic, but also to be creative. And this is what these industries require. This is what you will be. Not only analytic, but also creative, which is different from the other streams. And I think I stop there with my presentation, and I would welcome your questions. Yes, Zachary.
Yeah, my question is simple. Would you mind please repeating, because you were explaining the masters, how the masters work, because at some point the internet cut off and I couldn't hear you at all. You were discussing what the master's program entails, basically.
All right, so the master's program, both MSCs are divided in two areas. The first area is strategic management. This is where you work, you learn areas like human resources management, like project management. Now we're talking at a master's level, like operations management, like cognitive biases. These are all areas that help managers be more effective in their workplace. But as what I've said are just about general themes of management. What we want to produce, or what we want to offer to our industry, are people who are knowledgeable about marketing, knowledgeable about digital marketing, and can manage a team of people. Which is why the skills that I mentioned from the management stream are coupled or complemented by skills and knowledge from marketing. This is where your consumer behavior that you would have taken in the second year of your bachelor's degree becomes extremely important, because now we would be opening up that consumer behavior into its dependencies, into its detailed concepts and constructs. This is where, for instance, in our marketing stream, you would have, in digital marketing, for instance, you would have a simulation that would require you to transform an ordinary organization, an ordinary marketing organization, dependent on traditional channels, to become completely dependent on digital channels. Right? It's the same thing with the implementation of marketing strategy. Now, this time, rather than managing products over a product life cycle, we want you to innovate. We want you to come up with new products, design new offerings that can attract non-customers. That would happen during the second semester of your master's degree. And of course, the better marks are awarded to the teams that perform better, who can earn more money or most money than the rest of their colleagues. So it's a very competitive challenge. It's the same thing about customer experience design. Rather than just taking a case study about customer experience design, we ask you to implement a customer experience project in an actual organization. This is how our MSc is different from other master's degrees abroad. They're not only theoretical, but also very much applied. The same holds for the dissertation. In most universities across mainland Europe and even in the United Kingdom, master dissertations, MSc dissertations are very much theoretical. You come up with a construct and you have to test it out and test the hypotheses, or even perhaps develop propositions that you would need to prove from your qualitative research. But in our MSc, our dissertations are pretty much related to what the industry requires. Just to give you an example right now, I have one student who is looking into what consumers perceive the customer experience journey is like for the common commuter using buses. How can that experience be improved? What are the problems that inflict the current public transport? Why? Because the Public Transport Association here in Malta is very much demanding, very much requiring something that will help it improve the level of service that it's offering to its commuters. So you can see very practical problems with academic ramifications, with academic basis, but at the same time offering value not only to our students who would need to get the degree, but also to our supporters, to our industries. Next question.
Thank you.
Any other questions, please?
Is it of a disadvantage if you didn't have marketing before?
Sorry?
Is it a disadvantage if you did not have marketing before?
Well, all our study units are designed to start from the very, very basics. Having an A level would help, having an intermediate would help, but not necessary.
Thank you.
Next question. Right. Can I ask you a question then? Who's got an A-level marketing? You can raise your hand on your reactive. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Who has an intermediate marketing? Can raise a hand as well. Okay. So the rest would probably be, their become in marketing would be pretty much of an introduction. And there is absolutely no problem with that. Right. What would be the other majors that you would be considering at this point in time?
Personally, management.
Management, all right. Who else with management? How about economics? That makes more sense, because at the end of the day, marketing also depends on economics principles. Right. How about public policy? Matthew, you're taking public policy with marketing?
Only considering it.
Sorry, you're
considering it along with management also.
You're not, I cannot hear you correctly, Matthew. You're very, very... How about accountancy? Anyone taking accountancy? Lisa, you're taking accountancy? And Christian. All right. How are you going, why are you taking accountancy and marketing?
I'm still not sure whether I will be taking marketing because I'm between either marketing or management.
Okay. What about you, Christian?
The same. I'm not sure about marketing. I'm pretty sure about accounting. It's what I take with accounts. I'm thinking about taking insurance with it personally.
Okay. All right. What about insurance? Who's taking insurance with marketing? Matthew? Again, or you just left your hands up? Yeah. All right. Okay, and what about banking and finance? Anybody taking banking and finance and marketing? Okay, the reason I'm asking is that by now you would have realized that marketing is a good complement, so to say, with any of the other disciplines. It goes well with public policy, it goes well with management, goes well with accounting, practically everything, which is why we are very proud of the fact that we're, in terms of student numbers, we're the second largest. The largest department in student terms is, of course, accountancy. Usually half of you would actually take accountancy, but then people might decide otherwise at a later stage, but that's not your problem. Anyway, so if no other matters are to be addressed, I think I have completed my presentation. Mireille.
Once again, thank you very, very
much. Just as an introduction, my name is Professor Simon Grima. I am the head of Department of Insurance and Risk Management. The department now is named what it's supposed to always have been named, Insurance and Risk Management Department, because it caters for much more than people think. The thing is, it's a very interdisciplinary subject. You can go into any faculty, any department, any area of business where you are going to utilize, you have to utilize insurance and you have to utilize risk management. And today, even further than, many years ago. The department started as a department in 2015, before it was a unit and before it was a part of the banking and finance department. However, it grew so much that we had to decide to take it as a separate entity. The market is one of the largest, it's the largest market actually in the world. It includes anything under the sun. And however, I mean, people still think that it only deals with, let's say, claims of motor insurance. That is the most famous, what people think about insurance. Well, having said that, since 2015, the department has grown. We have a number of students every year, practically around 60 students per year. Even the masters has grown. We've got 2 masters programs. We've got an MSc and an MA by research. We've got PhD also. And the MSc now has 3 streams. The MSc will have a stream. It's an MSc in Insurance and Risk Management. There are core subjects, but then you will have 3 streams. The 3 streams are, one is quantitative finance. The other stream is GRC. It's more qualitative, more for administration and compliance, internal audit and law, which is called governance, risk management and compliance. So it is the stream of insurance and risk management, but specializing in compliance and risk management and governance from the monitoring side. The other one in quantitative part. And the third one is remaining as it is today, more focused on insurance and risk management from a broader aspect. So you've got 3 streams where you can choose. You can pick and choose from the beginning, and you choose according to what you really like. That is the MSc. That is where you can proceed. The MA, obviously, it's more by research than taught, but you can choose the subjects also from the pool of subjects in the master's program. Regarding the bachelor's program, what's going to happen is you've got the 2nd year and the 3rd year, but now the difference is that you can choose the major with any other major. So there are 7 majors. You can choose insurance with economics, insurance with banking, insurance with marketing, insurance with management, insurance with accountancy, and public policy also. So the thing is, before it was allowed only with 4 other majors. Today it is allowed with all other majors. Obviously, you have to be careful that the subjects that you choose, okay, in the course, okay, are not clashing with other subjects in the other courses. So if they do clash, it doesn't matter, you choose another elective. So you've got choices of electives which are quite vast. In the first year, you've got choices to electives. In the second year, you've got choices to electives. So, sorry, in the third year and the second year and third year, you've got electives. Now, what we have introduced from the years before are ESG, environment, social, and governance. Okay, this is sustainability measures. Just so that you know, the Commission is today preparing regulations for all financial services and all investments and all areas of lending and whatever, which have to comply with a standard called ESG. So this is a new measure. There is also a new course on pensions regulations. There is EU pensions regulations and EU regulations. There is going to be another 2 electives. The rest basically has remained the same, but you've got quite a lot of choices. I mean, you've got the core, obviously, that are the principles of insurance and also the principles of enterprise risk management. Those are always going to remain core. You've got some sociology and psychology within sociology of risk. You've got a choice if you want to go for quantitative and econometrics subjects, but it's your choice. You've got a choice also for actuarial science, but that's your choice. Those who don't like mathematics, they can opt for other subjects like business continuity planning, which are softer on the mathematical side, but they are heavier on the qualitative and monitoring side. So you are very flexible. The subjects are always being updated. I think we're the only department who update practically every subject. Practically every year we have done a lot of changes, and we have brought them up to date with the legislations, the new legislations. For example, cybersecurity. When the regulation came out of cybersecurity, we were prepared for that legislation 2 years before. There is another legislation coming out, which is the Digital Operations Resilience Act, which we have already set in place since a year and a half. So the thing is, all these are things that, let's say, are coming out, but we are prepared for them before the legislation even came out. We have also subjects like forensic insurance. We've got some details also on prevention of money laundering, some things on what's it called, cryptocurrencies or blockchain and DLT. Okay, so if you want choices, you want to go more on the computer, on the IT side of things, you can go on the IT side of things. And just to give you an idea of the setup of the department, there's me, who is basically a hybrid between many different areas. I can switch from, I've been in banking and finance, I've been in accounts, I've been in economics, management, practically in all the areas. I'm even deputy dean of the faculty. And I am, let's say, I can lecture, let's say, on the various aspects within the course. Then there's Andre Farrugia. Andre Farrugia, let's say, is the main person on insurance. He's the expert on insurance. He's been over 35 years in the area of insurance and training of insurance. So I think better than him, I don't know who can, you know.
Just revealed my age.
I'm the same age, so I'm a little bit just 1 month older than Andre. So I've been 35 years also in the industry. but in various industries. With Andre, we've got a number of casual lecturers who also have been over 35 years in the industry. Some of them, I've known them because I've worked with them, and some of them, now are being replaced, and we are bringing in the first core of students we had in insurance and risk management. So the first core now are replacing the older core. In fact, one of them is the daughter of a person who used to teach in the department. Apart from that, we've got newcomers also. We've got a person who's been there since 2013, is Dr. Spiteri, Dr. Jonathan Spiteri. He is on behavioral economics, and he will be lecturing the economic behavior and insurance and risk management side. Then we've got Philip Beatty, who is he's more on economics, but he is also on corporate finance and financial planning. So we'll be lecturing some financial planning also. He used to teach me, lecture me also. So he's quite experienced. Then there is full-timer also. We've got another person who's Pierre Paolo Morano. He's Professor Pierre Paolo Morano. He is an expert in insurance regulations. In fact, he lectures in Università del Sacro Cuore di Milano, in Latvia University, and he is even on the regulator in IOPA. So you can gain a lot from him. Apart from him, there is also now a newcomer. From next year, there will be Dr. Christian Bonici West. He is a PhD in the area of cybersecurity, cyber risk, and risk management from the IT and technological parts. And he will be lecturing various subjects in the area of IT and IT risk management. Apart from that, then we've got people coming from the industry who are also your network, because they are the ones that will employ you. There are a number of vacancies. There are a number of internships. If you need internships, just let me know, and I will I will just pass it on to the prospective employers, because they are looking for a lot of interns. They are very interested in getting interns. They are surprised that they're not finding resources. We're lacking a lot of resources, and not only in Malta, but I can tell you because I am on the Federation of European Risk Management, and I represent also certain bodies abroad on insurance and risk management. And I can assure you that there are so many vacancies, even abroad, that we cannot find people to replace. The only problem is, we want also to give you the opportunity to be able to, get some training on the job. So we do promote it. On the other hand, also the Erasmus programs, we practically allow everybody to go at any time to Erasmus programs. The only problem is that you've got two majors, and it always depends on the other major. If we allow you, if the other major does not seem to, like the subject that you choose, we cannot do anything from our side, but we do promote it. We also, when there wasn't COVID, we also do take people on visits to foreign institutes, foreign companies like Generali, like Lloyd's of London. We have done it before, even a museum of insurance, even to other universities. We have done it before. We will continue to do it, obviously COVID permitting, because since we had COVID, we have planned to do it, but we didn't do it. We also organize, let's say every year, we send somebody to a FERMA, the Federation of European Risk Management conference. But unfortunately, we only can send one person, and we pay for one person. So we cannot send more than one person. This year he's going to Copenhagen. Last year it was, I think, two years ago it was Monte Carlo. I don't remember the other years. So basically, that's it about the course. I mean, in the end, you'll all find a job if you finish just the BCom. There's no doubt about that. And the jobs are not only in insurance, the normal insurance that you know. There are various types of insurance. There are captives, there are reinsurance, there are, I think Andrea can elaborate on this, but then you can even work in banks. You can even work with manufacturing, because with manufacturing, you need to take insurance. With health, you need to know and understand professional indemnity. You need to understand what the HR requirements are. So sometimes in property, you need to take various insurances. So the knowledge of insurance is very important. Andre, if there aren't any more questions, any questions for me, I mean, or else we can leave the questions till the end. I can leave in the hands of Andre to give you more.
Yes, in fact, since I am a lecturer, I prefer to share a presentation with you. I mean, it's better than looking at me. The presentation is more interesting to look at, so I think I should share this. I don't know, can you confirm whether you can see the presentation, please?
Yes,
you can see it. Okay, you can see it. Good. Okay, my name is Andre Farouj, as I was earlier introduced. And if you're taking up insurance studies, you will be seeing a lot of me because I'm practically involved in year 1, year 2, year 3. Probably, in fact, you were in my class since I also lecture on the introductory insurance module, which was the first year, so you might know me. If you don't know me, then my name is Andre Farouj. I was in the industry for a number of years, and my very brief, I promise you I'll be very brief, my very brief presentation will give you a flavor of what to expect out there, because at the end of the day, it's nice to hear about your prospective courses, but where does this lead? That is the crucial question. And hopefully I'm going to give you a flavor of where it leads. If it doesn't, of course, then you can ask me any further questions later on. So very briefly, some pictures. This is Malta, okay? Because sometimes we see certain pictures and we say, it will not happen to us, it will not happen in Malta. But this is Malta. I mean, you can judge by the background there, very typical. Rubble walls. Imagine finding this before going to university on a Monday morning. I mean, these are things that happened, and this is what you will be dealing with, because insurance is very practical, very alive. Again, this was an explosion in Nashar. This was a tragic explosion because people died. It was related to fireworks stored in one of the garages. Again, insurance is there for protection. Of course, this is very familiar. It's the airport. I hope it doesn't flood so often. As you can see, it's not only the physical damage, but the greatest damage here is the airplane that could not fly and rendering losses in this respect. So it's not only physical damage, there are certain consequential losses that are covered by insurance because there are a lot of products in the insurance industry. Some more pictures. I think you know what happened here. There was a flood in Ormy, and the flood carried some coffins as well to to the Ormy Valley here, as you can see. This became a national joke, by the way. But flood, of course, is synonymous with damage. And these are real cases that you will be surveying, that you will be loss adjusting in the future if you take insurance. So it's never a dull moment. Again, I don't know whether you recognize the place. This is in front of Forest Stores in Riehl. Yes, if it's a rainy day, I have to say don't go to Forest Stores, because you could end up having your car submerged as in this photo. Marcel Forn.
Mind you, you could have it even at university. There was the case at university too.
I hope that these pictures don't deter you from coming to university. But anyway, this is an aura. I don't know if they remember this. Why am I showing you these pictures? Because insurance is exciting. Insurance is very alive. It's very, very hands-on. And these are the type of risks that insurance seeks to insure and seeks also to loss adjust, to pay after the loss. So if you take on insurance, I will be your coordinator on insurance studies. So you always have a contact person. And of course, I am very, very accommodating to make sure that you are on the right track and you are always serviced in the best of ways. So what to expect? I think I have a lot of slides, but I'm not going through all of them. But I think this is one of the slides that really interests you, because at the end of the day, you want to know where this leads. First of all, you can take insurance irrespective whether you have experience or not, whether you have knowledge or not. So don't worry, we are covering all aspects, all processes, all principles and operations, not only in insurance, of course, but in related areas. We are insurance and risk management, so we will cover those in great depth, but also there are other areas, as Professor Grima has just highlighted, areas of compliance, internal audit, actuarial and the like. Now, we try and bring practical aspects into the classroom or online now. And we do so by bringing in experts from the field. I worked in the industry, so my job really is to bridge what is out there to the classroom, because of course I served the industry for a number of years, so I can of course make it as lively as possible. But we do also contract in other practitioners so that you will have hands-on current experience. When you start working in insurance, expect a salary of up to 30,000. I've made some research. In fact, I have a slide somewhere. Let me see whether I can find it. I have put up some slides. Here it is. This is the slide I was looking for. Just a few minutes before we started, I did some research and I found some typical positions. Of course, when you start, your first job is going to range between 19,000 and 25,000. So as you can see, the first row is a typical junior position, but then there is the potential. This is what you have to look at, not the starting salary, the potential.
Just to give you an idea, Andrea, just to help here, just to give you an idea, 19,000 to 25,000 goes up really quickly.
In fact, that was my point. Look at the technical insurance officer then, which is down the slide. That brings you up to 30,000. So yes, as you are saying, yes, there is potential. Look at the potential, because you can start at 30,000 and you will remain with 30,000 all your life. But you can start with 19,000 and you can move up the ladder into other brackets, which are very, very attractive.
And to give you a little bit also of news, I mean, if you take comparison with the starting salary of an accountant and the starting salary of within the Big Four, we're talking, and the starting salary of a person coming out with an MA in accountancy or an MSc in insurance and risk management. The person with the MSc in insurance and risk management is starting from a 28,000. The MA in accountancy, because you don't finish the BCom after the MA in accountancy, which is even 1 year further because you've got 5 years, not 4. will start at 23,000. So they start at 23, while the MSc start at 28. So the comparison is showing you that they are looking for people, insurance and risk management. Don't forget there's the risk management element. And when we're talking about risk management and when we're talking about insurance, we're even talking about people working in gaming, which puts up the salary enormously if you're monitoring, if you're doing certain things in gaming industry. If you're working in property, in investments, in private firms, in insurance, in captives, the amounts will go beyond the 30. And the more experience you have, I mean, the sky is the limit then. I mean, if you are good and you work well in the area of insurance and risk management, the sky is the limit. I mean, the pace now, I mean, it's very difficult to find quality people. So the more experience you get and the faster you embed the experience with your knowledge, with the knowledge we give you, the quicker your salary will go up.
What is important is that there is a career progression, and I can assure you, because I've been in the industry, that in insurance and risk management it is the case. What would you be doing if you took up a career in insurance? A day in the life of an insurance or risk practitioner. People think, and Professor Grima introduced this, as people think that insurance is dealing with motor claims. It is far from that. The truth is far from that, because a day in the life of a practitioner is much more interesting than that. Of course, you will have to deal with claims, you will have to deal with the insurance of motor vehicles, but it involves more than that. In fact, a typical day could be receiving requests from clients, viewing the risk. You will go on site. I visited some very, very interesting sites, such as the Hilton when it was a big gaping hole. So you get to experience first-hand risks. And also you will be involved in the claims side of the business, where you will also be assessing damages, losses, injuries, unfortunately, even sometimes fatal injuries. But anyway, it is quite a varied task of a practitioner. You will drop reports, you will help and assist in the settling of claims, making a recovery, communicating with airlines to negotiate what is known as subrogation. If you were in my class, you know what I'm talking about. So it is not sitting behind a desk waiting for people to come in with a claim. Okay, it is more than that. And we are only talking about insurance. If it's risk management, you have a number of processes and checklists and other things to perform. If it's compliance, you will be dealing with regulators, practitioners, lawyers, auditors. So it is quite an active and dynamic industry.
You can be doing advice also, giving advice on products. Let me tell you what's the difference. For example, if you are, I'm also on various investment committees. Sorry, I butted in, Andrea. But I am also on various investment committees. And for those who think, I mean, that in insurance, there is no type of, excitement on investments, think twice, because the biggest investors are the pension funds, the largest investors. And the pension funds create your reinsurance, which is your alternative investment fund management. So the thing is, in knowing, with the knowledge of insurance and the knowledge of IDD, the Insurance Distribution Directive, okay, you get to know more about bundled products, and you can give better advice to the people in let's say, to your clients. So you have an exciting job on giving advice also, and you can take a course also on this while your terms, while the major. Okay, on the third year, you can do the choice of taking up professional advice. You can also do in risk management. You can be measurement, you can do the measurement, you can do the monitoring, or you can be sitting there managing investments and advising the advisor or the portfolio managers of how they should tackle certain transactions. So it is, let's say, it's so vast, you know, you can be dealing in, for example, even I mean, I was dealing with a bank when I started, okay, and I was in the treasury. Then I finished up in internal audit for a number of years, where I set up a number of things like the 24/7 that you use today, the ATMs that today are, you know, something found, I mean, everybody uses, you know, the chip and pin, believe it or not, we started with chip and pin in 1982, sorry, 1986. So the thing is, it's not something that we decided today. That is part of risk management also, how we set it up, with whom we set it up, what are the networks we have to deal with, how we deal with claims, how we also insure the products that we buy with our card. So even when you're setting up certain things in banking, okay, credit, when you're giving credit, you've got insurance. So it's not only IDD, which is the Insurance Distribution Directive, goes into many areas, which, for example, MiFID, which is the Markets and Financial Advice, doesn't. The Financial Directive doesn't. So, I mean, when we're talking about insurance and risk management, we're talking about a very, very large area of the industry. Sorry, Andre.
So moving on, these are some of the market players that you would be or could be involved in working with. People think of just insurance companies. There are quite a number of insurance companies, but it's not only insurance companies. There are a multitude of market players. As you can see from this list, there are different types. They have different roles. There are a lot of intermediaries, the middle person between the client and the insurance companies. So here you have a list just to give you an idea of the number of market players that are registered under the IDD and the Insurance Business Act. So there are also other companies, as you can see. These are just a list of the local insurance companies. This is just to give you a flavor. Some of the insurance brokers, I'm saying some because literally there are around 35 brokers, but I have mentioned some of the most common, which you might be familiar with as well. So working in insurance means getting to know and getting to understand certain areas. Professor Grima talked about credit insurance, professional indemnity insurance. Those are, yes, they are very, very important. Cyber risk insurance. There are a number of products which we will deal with during the course of our course. And these are generally sectioned into personal lines and commercial lines. Personal refer to the needs of an individual, and commercial refers, of course, to the business concern. So moving on, these are the opportunities. So talking about what's in it for you, you will be able to work with these entities. So we talked about intermediaries, insurance companies, regulators. You can be self-employed. You can be selling insurance on an individual basis. You could be a salesperson. There are a number of very successful salespersons. I remember when I used to work for in those days, it was Gazan Insurance. I used to work for Gazan Insurance. Today's Gazan Mom. There was a salesperson who used to make money more than the commission of our company. I'm not even joking. He used to really make a lot of money. So being self-employed can pay a lot too. You can work in Malta, you can work abroad, you can work with a Maltese company or with a foreign entity. There are a lot of foreign registered firms here in Malta. Anyway, risk management is a large field, which of course touches upon a number of organizations and companies where you could be involved, and academia. This is something maybe which is not really talked about, although Professor Grima did mention that we are already having students who were students 7 years ago who are now assisting us with academia, with lecturing, contributing to the department with their research, and this is the future. You are the future lecturers. You are the future under Farrugia and Simon Grima. So don't disregard academia. If you are into this area where you want to pursue your master's and PhD and take an academic role and profession, then this is also for you. This is another option which you should not disregard. Okay, risk management we talked about. It is quite a large area where you will be also undertaking certain reports and certain analysis which you will plot and which you will present. This is just an extract to give you an example of how risks are plotted. Job opportunities we talked about. The activity in Malta is very, very open to insurance and risk management business. In fact, it was already mentioned that we have staff shortages. As we speak, I have employers begging for people to work in the industry. So you should be encouraged, because this is a growing market. It's a growing industry, and you should be looking at industries that are expanding, because that is where the opportunities lie. Tayyip. Okay, we talked about, Professor Grima mentioned this very briefly, and these are the types of jobs you would expect. So it's not only insurance clerk, okay? People think that it's only the insurance person sitting behind the desk. No, look at all these different types of jobs. And if you look at a newspaper advert or a recruiter, these are the headings that you will find, and these all stem from the program that we are delivering. So after you complete the BCom in insurance and another major, you would be able to fit in these careers, these professions. As you can see, I won't read through them because it's boring, but as you can see, they are varied and quite voluminous too. Okay, I've shown you the fees because at the end of the day, of course, why not? You should also know what to expect in terms of monetary reward. To get into the industry, of course, you need qualifications, which you are studying for. You need to be inclined. You have to show interest as well. You have to be inclined. I remember I had a student who was fixated with motor cars. He was fixated. I mean, every time you heard this student talk, he talked about cars. His life was cars. Where is he now? Motor underwriting department within a very, very renowned insurance company. His inclination, his passion paid off because he actually took up our course, and now he is in a senior position within an insurance company. So passion comes into it, interest, inclination, and this is how you get into the industry.
To add to this, and just so you know, online on our website, there's a link to a video which gives you a number. It's a video showing you, this is just on insurance. We're not talking about risk management, but we're talking about insurance. It gives you a number of positions and a number of jobs that there are in the normal insurance areas. Because obviously, when you're talking about insurance, you're talking about a specific some types of areas, and then when you go to the captives and all the rest, there are other types of insurance, and then there are let's say risk management jobs also. And what we left out, you can work with the Big Four. The Big Four are always looking for consultants in insurance. Let's say, and if you go online, however, on our website, you will find the Facebook. Please join our Facebook, not the university or the FEMA Facebook, the insurance Facebook and the insurance LinkedIn. Okay, on there are also specific courses that we recorded, because we have certain courses that we recorded, and let's say there are some videos of jobs and job opportunities also, and internships. We put them there. Okay. By the way, if you have any questions, I don't know, Andre, you have anything else?
I'm going to wrap it up literally in 1 minute.
Yes,
I promise you. In the meantime, yes, if you want to use the chat, I've just sent a message. If you want to use the chat, you can do so. If you want to ask direct questions, we will open up the floor in a few minutes' time. You can, of course, unmute yourself and ask.
If you don't feel comfortable, also, you just can send me an email or Andre an email, and you can send me your telephone number, and I will phone you, and we can discuss even, let's say, not only, let's say the current position, for the majors, but if you want to see what is the progression, I can even explain the progression and what can lead you to and whatever.
To wrap it up, Simon, if I may, because I just
no
have
problem.
Just 2 slides. I promise you it's just a minute. Just to wrap it up, we had past students who were on our programs who are today in high positions, heading departments. I know of one student who is already the head of compliance. Imagine in a few years already becoming the head of compliance, which is great. Anyway, so past students today are filling in the high positions in the industry, and a career in insurance will definitely motivate you. It is very interesting and very, very lively and active. So it's never a dull moment in insurance. It will also, why not, reward you, not only monetarily, but it will reward you because it fulfills your inclination, your passion, and it also opens up doors towards further success in your career. So that is the brief presentation, which, by the way, I will also make available. I will send it to the organizer, and I will make this presentation available to you in case you want to go through it again. I wish to thank you for joining. Thank you very much for your interest. We have 15 minutes.
Yes,
if you want to use these 15 minutes to ask questions.
Andre, let me also, just so that you know, in my case also, I wasn't an insurance person. I am not an insurance person, but I am a risk manager now. But I started off in banking and finance. So I started off in banking and finance, and I finished up in insurance. And I can tell you that insurance, let's say, insurance and risk management captures anything under the sun. So it captures all the things that are in banking, all the things that are investments, all the things that are in architecture, because I used to love architecture. So my first love was architecture. I still do it. I lecture in architecture also, and also I lecture in health. So the thing is, insurance is very vast. Even I can tell you, my 2 sons have taken up insurance as a major. Both of them are working with Pricewaterhouse. They have been working with Pricewaterhouse as interns, and one of them is consulting on insurance products with Pricewaterhouse Cooper, and he's in quite a high senior position. And the other one, they are still young, because maybe they've been working for 3 or 4 years. One of them, the other one has been working for less than 1 year. And the other one also is on internal audit functions on insurance and investment products. So the 2 of them have passed through insurance. Unfortunately, I had passed through banking and finance. Not unfortunately, it was an area I liked. And however, I still cover the area, even in a vaster aspect through insurance. So I mean, I'm just passing on some of the experience that I faced myself. We can open up now for questions.
If you want to ask live questions, just unmute yourself and
yes.
the question. I got some very good chat messages too, which we can share as well. Let's see if we have live questions. First of all, anybody would like to ask a question? I had some chat messages where somebody talked about the importance of actuarial studies. Yes, we will comment on this, and whether economics is related to insurance and whether it would be a good option to choose insurance and economics as two majors.
I can answer this if you want. So first of all, economics is covered also. If you are not taking economics, we do cover it because we've got 4 people in the they are their PhDs in behavior economics. We cover areas, however, when you take economics, we suggest that you don't choose those areas. You choose areas which are not economics. If you're taking economics as a major, you choose, for example, business continuity, which is not covered in economics. Yes, but you can take economics and insurance, because insurance is also part of economics. Unfortunately, at A level and at O level, they teach you a little bit, or they put in a little bit, because I've done economics myself, A level and O level, they do talk to you a bit about monetary economics and something about the ECB, but they do not consider the importance of insurance and risk management, or they do not consider it yet, because in the future we might be adding it, maybe because there are no lecturers in that area, the lack of lecturers. However, because obviously even to find a lecturer, it is very difficult, and because I mean there's a discrepancy with the pays also, because working in the industry you get paid more lucratively than working and correcting papers with as an academic. Yes, but economics and insurance are a good mix also.
Tired. Do you have any more questions? We've exhausted the chat messages. Thank you for your interest through your queries. Any more? As we said, we're always available. It's not just the 1 hour today that you had, but we are always available.
So there was something on actuarial science.
Yes, somebody also prompted.
Yeah, there are topics.
Actuarial analysis is very popular in the insurance industry. Yes.
Yes. In fact, we've got 2 subjects. One's principles. One is the principles of actuarial science, which is in the financial management. It's called, it is in the first year. It's an option. You can choose it. There is econometrics. You can choose it also, which adds to the subject. There is quantitative finance also, which is another subject in the second year. Then there is actuarial science in the third year, which you can choose. But then there are some subjects also which you can choose in the third year, which relate to actuarial science, or else to financial mathematics. Then you can specialize in the MSc in the area of quantitative risk management. That is basically actuarial science and econometrics, and some on derivatives, which is my specialization. So yes, you can have a progression to at least understand the quantitative aspects of risk management. But then obviously, if you want to do the specific course on actuarial science, you can proceed later on with the knowledge you have to carry to do the qualification. However, finishing also the course, the MSc course, you can apply immediately. You've got total exemption from the Federation of European Risk Management as a professional risk manager. So you will be certified, you will be a certified professional risk management by the Federation of European Risk Managers, okay, by FERMA. So finishing your course, you don't have to do another exam. You just have to apply and become a member of FERMA, and they will send you the certification. Obviously, because we would have said that you passed the exams.
Okay, thank you very much. There aren't any more chat messages. I don't know whether there are further questions. If not, Mireille, I think we did exhaust what we had to say. So I don't think we should keep the attendees any longer.
Thank you.
From my end, thank you very much. Thank you for your interest.
Thank you very much. And if you have any other questions, free to send them to me after. That's not a problem.
Thank you very much, both of you.
Bye, everybody. Bye, and thank you.
Bye, and good luck.
Thanks.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
First of all, welcome. Let me just highlight a few points before I actually start to tell you a bit more about our department. The department, you all know it as the Department of Management. And it's been like this probably for, I don't know, quite some decades now. A bit of news is that the department will be changing its name. It's already gone through Senate, and now we are just awaiting for Council. In fact, the name of the department will be the Department of Business and Enterprise Management. The change in name is not just a change in name. We have had to change it, and this was done in consultation both with our stakeholders and also with students. I mean, there might be some of you who may have received a questionnaire a couple of months ago to fill it in terms of the change of name of the department. The change of name of the department has been done to identify ourselves a bit better within the faculty, but also within the university. As you probably know, management is a transversal topic. In other words, I find it a bit odd that students have to choose between, I don't know, management and something else, or economics. I mean, if you think about it, all the other 6 domains are very, what we call vertical knowledge areas. So accountancy is a very specialized field. Economics is a very specialized field. I don't know, marketing is also a specialized field. But whether you are leading a marketing department, whether you are a financial controller, etc., you actually, at the end of the day, managing also people. And I can say this from both my 26 years of experience in industry, and especially in recruitment. In recruitment, for example, central bank, very classic example. Students, or ex-students actually, come there for headship positions, very, very, very bright people, well-versed in their knowledge areas. But the only problem where they often fail is when it comes to managing skills. And I think it is always, I mean, if we could rewind, probably I would argue that management should be a compulsory subject, at least in the first year, across all domains. It's a bit like I don't know, a doctor who wants to become a gynecologist or who wants to become a pediatrician, and yet anatomy is a fundamental topic across both disciplines. So I think that's the first thing I would like to say. Secondly, as a department, we adopt very much what is called the scientist practitioner approach. In other words, all of us are actually practitioners in industry, obviously in our different areas. And just for you to know who the department is, we are a group obviously of full-timers. There's myself, there's Professor Frank Bezzina, there's Dr. Stephanie Fabri, there's Dr. Isha Radvilli, Dr. Vincent Marmara, Dr. Nathaniel Massa and Dr. Joe Zopardi. And also, although now he's turned into a part-timer, there's also Dr. Martin Zamit. Our backgrounds, all of us, are all different. So basically, you can talk about our department as being one of the most varied. So we have people from anthropology, organizational psychology, IT, economics, maths, statistics, and engineering. And in fact, we're also now going to recruit 2 new people, one operations and logistics, and another one in applications of IT to business. Because obviously, as some of you may know, we also have our own degree, which is the BSc Honors Business and IT, which is done in conjunction with the Faculty of ICT. Management as a field basically encompasses 5 main, I would like to call them pillars, okay? So management is the study of planning, it's the study of organization, it is the study of leadership, controlling, and also staffing, and therefore staffing, obviously, of resources. And I think across all our study units in the next 2 years, for those of you who will choose management as one of their majors, you will be exposed to a number of study units which cover more or less these areas. I have to say that as a department and as head, I'm trying to emphasize this more and more and more. We're not just there to provide the knowledge, because let's face it, I mean, today you are gifted that there's so much knowledge out there that you don't need lecturers to give you the knowledge. What students need nowadays are obviously someone to help them shape that knowledge and take it from theory to application. And therefore, we give a lot of importance when it comes to the development of yourselves, right? As possible leaders of organizations. From the first perspective, from the development of character, you know, we give a lot of access to Erasmus. We're quite flexible. And in fact, I'm sure that a lot of you have now applied for Erasmus, but we have had to do some modifications, even in semester 1. In the past, it was that we would only allow students to do Erasmus in second year, second semester. This was because of the compulsory study units. Now, we're also allowing students to have or to go for Erasmus in the first semester. And we had some issues there with regards to entrepreneurship and also with regards to operations. With regards to entrepreneurship, because it is a one-year program, we've actually had Antonietta Rosiello, who has kindly created 2 separate study units, one in semester 1 and one semester 2, which are specifically for those students who will need to go on Erasmus and in the past found it difficult because of the one-year program. That's one modification we've done. Also, in the case of operations, which we think is a very important area of management, strangely enough, is not very much offered in foreign universities. And therefore, we are taking allowance as from next year that students who will go on Erasmus, but obviously they cannot find a similar study unit abroad, will have this also recorded, and they can satisfy the program requirements by listening to the recorded sessions. And something else that we've done also as a department, and I think this is, again, breaking news, if you like, we have managed to get around 50,000 euros, this is a pilot project, for you guys to go for a 1-week internship program. I'll explain. As you know, there is what is called the Erasmus Traineeship scheme, and that is obviously in summer. Now, many of you, experience has shown, don't go because of your work commitments with local organizations. So we still think that it is important that you do attend such events. And with the past ASCS, and maybe now also we'll discuss this also with the current ASCS ASCS Council, the new one, we have managed to get 50,000 as seed money, whereby we'll be approximately spending around 1,500 euros per student, because there will be an application process, to send them off on a structured internship project abroad in a company abroad. And this will be over and above the study units, but it will be some way certified. And this is something that the department took initiative. It's not just for those students who have the management as a major. So let's make this clear. So if you have economics and I don't know, and marketing, right, you can still apply for this funding, for this experience. Okay, it's going to be open across the board. That's something that our department actually took a lead. And we also have a number of study units which do not prepare you in terms of knowledge, but they prepare you in terms of person. Okay, we have people like Marco Abrogio, who also provides international coaching activities. We have people like Paul Gauci, who has been for many, many years head of training at Branco Valletta. We also have people like Antonietta Rosiello, Louis Naudi, right, who obviously prepare students for an enterprising activities. This year, we're also hoping that for those students within the management stream doing entrepreneurship who would like to take their idea further, right, almost to conception stage, we're actually having to organize retreat sessions, which will be done over weekends with specialized organizations who will be supporting us. So that is, if you like, from the personal development side. With regards to the knowledge, the Department of Management has 3 pillars, if I can say. I mean, one of them is strategy and internationalization of business. The other one is organizational behavior / HR, that was the management of people. And then obviously we also have operations and supply chain. Now, all the 3 domains of knowledge, and if you look at all the study units that students engaged in the management stream will be involved in, there are 2 things which are common across all of these 3 areas. One is the importance of data. Management is not more about just concepts and philosophy. Nowadays, it's becoming more and more and more about the use of data in decision making. And at the end of the day, you will be paid and employed by your organization to make good, effective decisions, right? Your paycheck will be commensurate to how much you are able to make good business decisions. And data, obviously, both quantitative and qualitative, is very, very important. The other one is that we try and ensure that all 3 areas are anchored into some form of evidence-based practice, okay? And basically, this is also related to data, but it also comes about your ability to think critically about what you are dealing with. So, I mean, our lectures are very much based on real life experiences. As I said, all of us are practitioners, apart from being academics. So obviously, we bring in the classroom a lot of rich information and also a lot of networking. Just to give you a little example, just today, we have been discussing the setup of a new master's in operations and transport logistics. And obviously, our stakeholders are companies like MIA, Transport Malta. There is also a number of foreign companies like Method and also Jothing Industries. So there are a number of partners and stakeholders which we bring to ensure that our degrees are as much as possible relevant to the world of work. I mean, I was a student like you, and one thing I really hate is when people teach you theories which you can learn technically alone, and they don't teach you how to apply those theories or what those mean in the real world, okay? And essentially more and more companies are actually looking for real world solutions. In fact, again, without spilling too much news here, but one of the persons we intend to employ, both from operations and in applications of IT. One is actually a managing director of a shipping industry at the moment in Korea. He's Italian. And then another one that we're hoping to bring on board is a CEO, ex-CEO of a well-established firm. He's a PhD and now actually moving into academia. So we're trying to make sure that all our lecturers are not the nerdy academics that most students think, but they are actually people who are in the world of work, and therefore you can also use them as strong networking platforms. As also I said, the department is also very active. You'll find that as a department, and we engage students in this, is very active. In fact, we have won a project as part of a larger consortium. The lead partners is the University of Glasgow. We as a department have won around 260,000. This is for entrepreneurship development programs for students. It's a 3-year project being led by Antonietta Rosiello. We also have another project, which is almost 50,000 on the human capital development in the manufacturing sector. And we're probably the only department with the largest number of PhD students. Our PhD students, basically, we have almost 8 out of around 14 in the whole faculty, are mostly people working in industry, and their projects are well into the real issues of life. I mean, I can just mention 2 examples. We have one person working on the improvement, the technological improvement of the triage in hospital, and another person who's actually working on a roster system for the aviation industry. So a lot, as I said, a lot of our projects are hands-on, and we try and involve as much students as possible. Now, one last thing, what will you be studying? I mean, obviously you can look at the syllabus, right? You have all the study units, but I would like to say something. And this is something that really annoys me when it comes to university learning. You guys are going through what is called a credit system. So basically you learn study units, right? Which you are assigned credits. We cannot undo that because obviously it is an established system now and they've already accepted. But what I find, and this is, I'm talking now from the employer side, okay, is that when students get their degree and they go into industry and they're given real world projects, very often students, and I don't blame them, cannot see the bigger picture. What they see are bits and pieces. And obviously we need to find a middle of the road here. So what we are trying to do as a department is we're trying to cluster the study units in such a way where all the lecturers involved in a specific cluster will see there is a degree of continuity, right, from one study unit to the other. It is healthy to have some overlap, but it is unhealthy to have disintegration or too much overlap. Otherwise, it becomes boring, it becomes simply repetitive, etc. So, for example, let me just give you a little example. If you look at the syllabus of the management stream, you can actually cluster all those study units into 4 basic areas: the issue of data, the issue of personal development, the issue of business development and strategy, and the issue of HR. Within those bubbles, if you like, you have a number of study units. So, for example, in the area of data, you have topics like quantitative analysis for business statistics 1 and 2. You have statistical data for business, etc., etc. You also have areas like applied research methods, okay, applied research tools for business. We are trying to ensure that the people teaching these study units make sure that there is some form of smooth transition from one unit to the other, so that students at least will have the benefit of seeing the bigger picture, okay? Even in the case of personal development. So for example, there we have study units like soft skills for the workplace, management communication, creativity and personal development, and then entrepreneurship. All the lecturers involved in those study units have actually come together to see whether their content is actually duplicated and whether they can actually improve the smooth transition from one unit to the other. So although you will still be examined on study units, we'll try and make sure that as much as possible, students from management will actually have a visibility of the bigger picture. It's not an easy skill. Very often you need to be well-versed into the industry and you have to be involved into real life projects, but it's a skill that you require. I mean, again, myself standing from the recruitment state, I often find that many recruits are very intelligent when it comes to knowledge, but then when it comes to application, and again, I don't blame them, they cannot fit the pieces together. And that is why I am one of those who constantly claims that you need to go on Erasmus. You need to take advantage of any experience and the chance that you get right from now, because do keep in mind, your degree is not the end of the journey, okay? Your degree is simply a, if you like, giving you an idea, right, of what the field is about. But the field is extremely vast and there's lots and lots of things for you to learn. And again, one of the things that as a head, and my colleagues included, trying always to do, is to try and bring on board people from industry. If not full-time, at least part-time. If not part-time, at least being involved in the department, right? Whether they are providing network sessions, whether they are providing internships, whether they are providing employment opportunities, okay? I've had a lot of students, I mean, I've been at university since 1997. And I have some very successful stories of some students who nowadays work obviously on an international level, right? And the reason is not because they were super bright, obviously they were intelligent, but that's not the reason. The reason is because they took every opportunity that came their way, okay? And they gave it value, okay? So you are at an age where I think you should not lose out any opportunity, right? The day will come when you're getting older, then when you can be more and more selective. But at this stage, I would suggest you do not lose on any opportunity. And as a department, both from the teaching perspective, but even as a department, we try and make sure that this is the kind of experience we give to a number of our students. Mary, I think I've done my pitch. And it's a long pitch, but if there are any questions or...
Thank you very much. If there are any questions, even if they can send them to us and then we'll send them.
Yes, certainly.
So if there aren't any more questions, I think that's it. I thank you very much once again.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you.
Good
tal-inizjattiva.
Thank you, Afna.
Thank you very much.
Bye, thank you.